Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. I have a wonderful pro commentary for you today. Today's matchup is going to be between DieStar and GG's Ourk. We get to Ourk here in the 6 o'clock position as the pink Zerg player, and in the 12 o'clock position we do have DieStar as the purple Terran player. And you know, it's a pretty summery day, and I thought, you know what, it's been a couple of days, I think it's been, I don't know, almost even a week since I gave you guys a drink recipe, so let me give you one today, a summery drink. This is called the German Beauty. Wow, what a name, huh? Yes, and I am German. I am 50% German. In fact, my mother was born in Germany. My father in the military, met my mother in Germany, and I was born on a military base. Look at that. Now you know a little bit more about Force. So yes, the German Beauty is a drink invented by Jessica St. Amour, popular in Black Forest, southern Germany. And if you have never been to Germany, the Black Forest is beautiful. And yes, it was basically popular during the summertime when fieldberry juices are really fresh and basically just very prominent in the area. So yes, the German Beauty is 1 ounce of vodka, 2.5 ounces of fieldberry juice, half a teaspoon of lemon juice, and some frozen raspberries. And how you make it is you chill the cocktail glass, you fill the shaker halfway with ice, add the juices, shake vigorously, and drain in cocktail glass and add the frozen berries. There you go. And we get to right now already Ourk adding frozen berries of his own. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but doing some SCV harassment over here. We can see that SCV actually chilling out and pointing in the wrong direction, but still somehow building this. And actually, I think, unfortunately, DieStar may end up losing this. Needs to be very careful, but nice, consistent SCV harass with that second SCV. Managed to actually pull that guy away, and surprisingly enough, going to see DieStar actually trying to repair that SCV. And the reason I say that's surprising is because it cost resources to actually get a repair down. So I wouldn't have been too surprised if he had just grabbed an SCV and then used that to continue building and then put the damage one back on his mineral line. But I suppose fearing some continuous harassment, he didn't want to lose that SCV altogether, so he figured he might as well just repair it. We can see Ourk right now pulling it back with the Joan. Will actually be maybe hiding in the corner. What is he doing over here? Just kind of chilling around, trying to circumvent where that SCV was going, and then heading straight to the Zelnaga Tower. How exciting. How exciting indeed. GG Ourk will be coming out that spawning pool. He did go hatch first into pool, and there's that extractor as well. SCV Scout will be fully aware of everything that is going on. We can also see Ourk pulling over here with an Overlord and going to be doing some secondary scouting, likely to be chilling the Overlord somewhere in this vicinity, and then he can check that natural, and he can move in to check the third at some point as well. DieStar, look at this. Super fast expansion, going to be going for a very, very fast expansion. You can see already that rally point for that Expo is straight to his main mineral patch. He will continue up producing SCVs inside of his base, saturate this expansion, then lift this off and pull it on over right over there. And that's just, you know, that's what you see a lot of players do. The idea is getting a full saturation over here and then just transferring about half your workers right on over to your expansion, and you're all set. Now, something to keep in mind though, DieStar, of course, going for this crazy fast expansion puts him in a very vulnerable position to early game aggression. I suppose though, luckily, oh wow, actually Ourk is expecting aggression of his own here by placing down that spine crawler. It looks like he's expecting some early game aggression. I mean, we could very well see a small marine push, but I wouldn't expect it given the fact that DieStar did only open up with 1 rack. Had he opened up with 2 racks, then I would expect some heavy marine aggression, but just right now defending the front of his base, you can see chilling out with those marines, actually prevented that Zergling scout from scouting out that bunker, which would have given Ourk a clear indication of the fact that an expansion was coming. So there you have it right now. DieStar's expansion is unbeknownst to Ourk. And here we go. There's that. Actually, we'll be lifting it off right away. Wow, surprising. Again, because of the fact that he had it rallied over there, I almost expected him to go for a little more saturation of the main and then transfer on over. We can see right now going to be transferring into a second barracks, and there's a factory coming on through as well. Could actually very well get a Helion or 2 out and try to do some scouting and or harassment with that. The thing is, this late in the game, his marine production is so low that pushing out with marines wouldn't be the best option. Actually trying to move on down and get a couple shots off on that Overlord. We'll get a few shots. Doubt he will actually kill it though. You can see right now Ourk's Overlord did manage to make it just out of vision there, but I'm pretty sure at this point, yes, he is fully aware that this expansion is up and running. So let's take a look at how he decides to respond. Of course, if you've been following StarCraft much at all, if you've been following my commentaries, something that I'll always mention is in this position as a Zerg player, you of course have two choices. Your choices are, let me get up one more expansion, keep that one base above my opponent, or let me go for some strong aggression. Now, given the wide open nature of this expansion here, the fact that there is not much in the way of a wall off, aggression could be very strong, but I don't believe Ourk is going to be doing that. We can see working on these rocks over here. It looks like he may very well be looking to move into his third expansion. You can also see teching up right now. There's a layer tech. Now at this moment, there is the Helion harass that I almost expected from DieStar. His form of secondary scouting, given the fact that he didn't have much bio early on. We can see him just pushing on in. He obviously knows that the expansion is up. That is not much of a surprise. But we have a couple more Helions, so once he gets these 4 rallied up, I think he will be pushing out. He has 2 more coming, so he might even wait for the full 6 and then push out and try to actually do some drone roasting, which can be very, very effective. Now, Ourk does have a few Zerglings. Is he still working on those back rocks? No, he has stopped it, but look at that creep tomb replacement. A clear indication that he is looking to connect to this third eventually, and a clear indication that he is going to be expanding to it sometime soon. So there we go, and 2 more Helions, going to be going with 8. Wow, DieStar really investing heavily into this Helion harassment, but I'll tell you, this can be very effective, especially given the fact that we aren't seeing any roaches here from Ourk at all. He has got a Baneling nest coming out. He has that evolution chamber up, so I'm expecting some upgrades, and there's a Spire. So it looks like Speedling, Baneling, Muta is what Ourk will be going with, and this Helion harass has a great opportunity. As soon as he pushes out with that, I expect it to do quite a bit of damage. There we go, putting a barracks here on this reactor to switch to Marine Heavy. Looks like Marine Tank is going to be the mix here, but here comes the push right now, and how strong is this going to be? Helion harassment has a great opportunity because there is not a lot to properly deal with it. Trying to roast off that queen, and he's going to be pushing on over. He sees that creep connection, so he knows that third is coming at some point. First, dealing with these Zerglings. Look at how quickly he roasts them, and the drones going to take a heavy beating here from these 8 Helions. They are still all up. There we go, now down to 7. Drones pulling down to try to engage, dealing with that Spinecrawler as well, but this is unreal. DieStar is doing a lot of damage right now. Looks like he is losing his Helions, though. A lot of damage from that Queen as well as that Spinecrawler. He manages to still get 3 up into the main, and he could do quite a bit more damage with this as well. But there we go, full surround, and finally, Ourk managing to deal with that, luckily enough. But let's take a look here. Clearly, DieStar came out on top there, 1,200 as opposed to the 800 resources lost from DieStar. So Ourk losing 400 more resources in that engagement. So definitely in the worst position of the two. And here comes that transition from DieStar, of course, moving from opening Helion harass into the very effective, very potent Marine tank mix. We can see 2 factories coming up, actually. And do we even have a starport? I do not believe we do. So no, won't even be trying to get some medevacs or Vikings into the mix. And when I say Vikings, I mean just 1 or 2 for some Overlord sniping. You don't really see much more than that, because going for more Vikings than that, especially up against Mutas, Vikings aren't really that great against Mutas. The best response to Mutas will be Marines and Thors, and given the unit composition of DieStar, of course, he will be focusing on just those Marines because his factories will be used primarily for those siege tanks. Now back over here, again, Ourk took some heavy losses, but that does not mean he's out of the game at all. We can see 4 Mutas coming into play. Do we have any on the map already? There's 2 already, so that we will be sitting on a total of 6, and he can move out with that, and this is his chance. He needs to do some damage. He needs to harass quite a bit. One thing I am concerned, though, for Ourk is that he still hasn't gotten up his 3rd expansion. Again, he had to deal with that harassment, and after dealing with that and losing a ton of workers, his next response was to build more workers. So he needs to do a bit of damage with this Muta harass, and he also needs to realize that, look, DieStar looking to move into his 3rd as well, so definitely needs to get on top of that, because economically he will start hurting if he doesn't start to push out those extra expansions. And actually look like that. Look at this, DieStar even opening up his high yield as well for a possible expansion. So we'll be interested to see which one he decides to move this command center to once it does actually finish right now. So Ourk, what do we need to do, buddy? Well, we really need to get ourselves back in the game. First and foremost, get that expansion up. There we go. Ourk will be starting to build that. It looks like it will be delayed and a bit behind DieStar's, but still, Muta harass needs to do some damage. And then in terms of big fights and engagements, he just needs to make sure he tries to catch DieStar out of position with his Speedlings and Banelings. Really liking the creep spread here from Ourk as well, doing a great job of giving himself that increased mobility and vision. But there you go, scan being dropped down in the middle of the map. DieStar mopping up the Queen and a bunch of creep tumors. Now the Muta's moving around. Looks like they did just spot that 3rd. He does have this ever encroaching push coming right now. Now DieStar will of course try to spread out his tanks, spread out his Marines, try to deal with those Speedlings, Banelings, and Mutas as best as possible. And it really will come down, in all honesty, to how this engagement plays out. If we can see Ourk come back in this engagement and be in a better position, then this may actually be his opportunity to get back in the game. Mutas will want to be used to snipe off any outlying tanks like this one, looking very vulnerable, pushing forward, sniping it down, pulling back, taking a lot of losses to those Stim Marines though, and interested to see if that was actually worth it or not, because I think he lost at least one, possibly even two Mutas, and if he lost two, I wouldn't really say that was a fair trade given that Mutas are 100 Vespene each. Scan going down, dropping a bunch more creep tumors. DieStar also getting a creep tumor there up on the high ground. Mutas moving across, and again, looks like actually DieStar will be pulling back. He is a little bit concerned about it. Engagement. Here we go, taking advantage of this opportunity. Ourk pulling across the map with tanks unsieged, has a tremendous opportunity to do lots of damage, dropping the two tanks. Banelings rolling right in to the Marines as well, and no micro from DieStar of this big group of Marines, and see you later, guys. Couple Marines back here, bolstered by this siege tank line, but man, great play by Ourk. That's exactly the kind of thing he needed to do to try to get himself back in the game. Let's take one look again at that unit loss tab, and there we go. Ourk finally ahead in terms of resources lost. So great play there, having the awareness to see the fact that the tanks were on siege, the Marines were pulling back, and there was a very great moment of weakness for DieStar. So here we go, Ourk going to try to continue up this harassment. Now that he has a decent cloud of mutas, he can do a bit of damage, is still concerned about that missile turret though, and those couple of Marines, so that actually forced those mutas to push back, and actually really nice Marine placement here, really nice turret placement here by DieStar, really cutting back on the possible harassment from those mutalists. So mutas just continuing to dance around the board, and it looks like Ourk will be trying to come up again with his fourth over here. Now, what do we have? Do we have another Expo? Yes, we do. So DieStar looking to move into his fourth as well. Something else to note, of course, is that DieStar has this high yield up and running, and the third of Ourk is just this regular old mineral patch. So it'd be really nice if Ourk could actually try to get up his high yield as well. Mutas moving around the backside of the map. We'll be checking back over here and also trying to harass this, what is he doing? Just walking past missile turrets, taking some losses, and then going to be losing that Overlord as well. So that really didn't do much of anything. Unfortunately, Ourk didn't seize that opportunity to maybe drop that turret and do a little bit of splash damage, try to kill off a couple SCVs as well. Just ended up taking some hits to the face from these turrets. Although there are 3 turrets, I'm sorry. I thought there was only this one and that one. I didn't see this one. So with those 3, it actually was probably pretty smart of him to not engage with those mutas, because again, the DPS on those turrets is completely insane, and they can drop mutalists so very fast. Taking a look over here for DieStar, what does he have going on? Let's take a look at these upgrades. He is 1-0 right now. Also has some continuous upgrades. 1 quick snipe, 2 quick snipes, 3 quick snipes, and trying to go for a 4th, taking a couple of shots from those Marines, but he did end up killing 3 siege tanks in that engagement. So again, nice play there by Ourk, and this is precisely what he wants to do, just try to whittle away. Now the major concern is that if he doesn't do enough damage, and one big thing I'm really concerned about is that Ourk really has done 0 economic damage. He's killed a few units. He's done good. He did good in this big engagement, and again, we just saw him snipe those few tanks there. But with no economic damage, DieStar will just take those losses. He'll roll with the punches, and he will just continue to mass up his army. And looks like, yes, DieStar going to be doing some dropping. Probably my favorite thing to see Terran players do against Zerg. It can be so very effective. We can see right now Ourk moving across. He does have this decent death cloud right now, so we'll be able to snipe down these turrets very quickly and try to work into the resource line. But look at all of those turrets just working one at a time, and is it going to be enough? All he's killed so far is turrets. Is going to start to try to drop this planetary fortress though, and you can look how quickly the damage is dealt there. But we do have 2 medevacs moving across into the main base here of Ourk, so let's see how effective that is. Marines will be pushing back these mutas right now, and at the same time, here comes the drop right in the main, and let's see what he decides to do here, dropping them all in one location. We do have the Zerglings pulling on up. Are we going to see a stim? Not enough time. He does drop the queen. There's the stim, and just using the healing power of the medevacs, and then finally picking up. But it looks like this mutas will be able to mop up that medevac. Luckily, they're targeting the one that doesn't have anything in it. At the same time, here's a push coming across the map from DieStar. Is he going to be able to do any more dropping? There we go, dropping right there, doing a little bit more damage to those mutas. At the same time, here comes a big push, killing off the creep tumors. Would be good of him to actually try to take out an Expo as well. There we go, sieging up. A couple Thors in there as well to help with those mutas. There are a lot of Speedlings and Banelings though, and this could be a little bit dangerous for DieStar. I'm not quite sure he has enough to deal with this massive army right now. Now, they both are supply cap 200, but we do still have a few units over here from DieStar. So DieStar splitting up his units a bit, and that could be a little bit dangerous because here comes the engagement right now. Speedlings and Banelings from the top and the bottom. Muta's moving in right behind. Baneling's going to be busting through everything, and DieStar, see you later. Army gets mopped up. DieStar just lost everything there. Quick look at the unit loss tab. Again, Ourk looking to be in a strong position, so slowly but surely pulling his way back into this game. We saw him early on at a big disadvantage, but he's been doing what he can to whittle away at the army of DieStar, and it appears to be working right now. He does have enough mutas finally to deal with these marine forces. We'll be pulling on down. Here we go. Baneling's rolling on up as well. Is he going straight for the planetary fortress? Looks like he will. If he can drop this, it'll be good. And yes, it is. Oh, so good. Muta's pulling back right now after the damage is dealt. Although he was pretty close to mined out, still dropping any mining base, even if it's something that's a little bit dwindling, is always a good thing. But look at that, completely missing a drop over here because there was way too much action going on. We did have that medevac drop right here in the third, and it looks like he did manage to snipe that while Ourk was pushing on with that attack. And here comes some more harassment right now with these marines, and so DieStar basically tilting the favor back in his side. He is going to be pushing across the map with quite a few units. The fact that he dropped this base is even more significant than the fact that Ourk dropped that expansion, because obviously there's no more access to the larva here for Ourk, so that's a much bigger loss for the Zerg player than it is for the Terran player, because it's not just economic, it's also production. And here comes a push right now, sieging up, Marines spreading out, very nice. Wants to make sure he can protect these tanks though. Marines up in the main need to be protecting these tanks over here, because it looks like there may be enough mutas. Look at all the Marine damage. Baneling's rolling into the Marines up in the main, but still we do have enough Marines to actually finish off these muta numbers. And there is the GG from Ourk. DieStar opened up this game with a 1 Rax fast expansion, while Ourk went for a standard 15 hatch into spawning pool. The first engagement came 9 minutes into the game when DieStar pushed out with these 8 Helions. With these Helions, he was able to do quite a bit of economic damage to Ourk, and this basically set him behind from the get-go and forced Ourk to recreate a bunch of drones before he could actually be back into the game. At 14 minutes game time, as both players were moving into their third, we did see DieStar move across the map to kill off some creep tumors and then retreat back to his base. But luckily for Ourk, he caught this retreat and was able to catch up with a bunch of Spielings and mutas, surround the tanks, and kill off a bunch of tanks and marines. And this helped him come back from that opening harassment that he dealt with from those Helions. Ourk attempted some mid-game muta harass, but was pretty unsuccessful in the fact that he actually did very little economic damage. He was able to snipe off units or buildings here and there, but nothing really significant that set DieStar back too far. We then saw DieStar push out to do some expansion sniping. We're going to see him take out the high yield here, but unfortunately because of his positioning, Ourk was able to respond by getting a full surround from Spielings and Banelings on the entire mech army as well as these Marines here, and we're going to see them get completely mopped up in this engagement. Ourk then pushed out with a counterattack after mopping up DieStar's forces and was able to take out the high yield of DieStar. But unfortunately, Ourk had already lost his high yield, and momentarily after that, because of a drop from Marines, lost his third expansion as well. DieStar then re-rallied his forces and pushed out for the final engagement of the game. Unfortunately, since Ourk had lost 2 bases, his high yield and his third, he just did not have the economy to reinforce enough to actually deal with this final engagement, and that is what forced him to call the GG. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this game between Ourk and DieStar. As always, guys, if you like the commentary, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.